What's up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. With the holidays almost behind us, we're finishing the year strong with some big hits. Let's get to the winners. Christmas brought us 2 days worth of NFL slates over the weekend, and our members took advantage of it. IPT 007 hit for $2,100. The Guru won $5,500. Oaktown Daily Crusher shipped on 2 separate Showdown slates, winning over $40K. Elsewhere in NFL, we're in Best Ball Finals week. Congrats to all our members and contributors who advanced. We'll be covering the final results in next week's core report. In the NBA streets, our members' hot streak continued as well. Dr. Lucky 7 hit for $4,500. Shawnee Wins won $7K. Sweet Boy hit for $23K. And Bossolini 1 topped it off with a $50K shipper in Showdown. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Winner's Circle channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. And while you're watching, hit that like button now. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Till next time, let's keep running pure.
Old Guys Pod, Holden, JT, Spread a Stare. Where is Uncle T? Does anybody know?
Yeah, because I watched that Talk show. He's calling is it a basketball game or a volleyball game? He's calling some sort of
It's basketball. It's girls
calling
basketball.
A sporting event.
Yeah. I think it's girls and then boys. So he does one of each. I actually must say this, like when I get a little older, like his age, I'm totally going to do high school basketball games. It's fun. Calling play-by-play is a lot of fun. That's how I came up in this business. I miss it. And then I did
what
AAA.
Were you doing play-by-play on?
Yeah, well, the last place I did it. Well, I did like a Catholic college in Washington, D.C. It's called American University.
Oh, yeah.
Is it? Hold on. That's not it. American University is not it because that's a bunch of Jews. Yeah, I don't remember the name of the place, but it was definitely a Catholic place and it was Cardinals. They were the Cardinals. So I did that for a couple of years and then I did the Iowa Cubs for a season. And then I did a bus ride from Des Moines to Omaha and that was the end of it. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is awful. 162, you go into 162 baseball games and with the chances that your team is going to suck, not worth it for me. No. JT, was that your dream though, to hang out with a baseball team? Because it turned into a nightmare.
It wasn't, I mean, I guess if you call playing baseball hanging out with a team, then yes.
What did you play?
I pitched primarily. It's pretty good, threw pretty hard. I wasn't mature enough in high school, so my career didn't advance in organizational baseball beyond high school. But when I started working, I found my way into playing in adult leagues, which I talk about probably too much. But yeah, would have loved to do that. You know, other than that, if you're not playing, even if you're playing, it's such a grind. I mean, you could tell us more about that, but I know people in the industry and people think it's like, oh, it's baseball season, spring training's fun, you play the games, and then it ends in September, October. It's a year-round, 12, 14-hour-a-day job, almost no matter what you're doing. So
yeah, it's not. It just wasn't fun anymore. It just didn't, like, I don't want to sit on a bus. And I know in the majors you don't have to sit on a bus, but still, it's 162, and you're getting there in February. You're getting in there February a lot of times, calling a few games. So to me, it's not that fun. I think the ultimate's
nerve-wracking too with the turnover. I mean, you've got to get to a point if you're not, if you're not a player and one of the all-star players, of course, any other job seems like there's very few people that have a consistency. You could be gone at any day. It's a tough business.
I'll tell you this much too. It's tiring. And I did a lot of greenies. I'm not even kidding. Like you just take your uppers and you do it and you'd get through the game. And then, at night, do something else and then you go to sleep. It's not a healthy lifestyle either. That's not fun. Spread, talk to me. What's going on, pal? Anything happen in the Spread a Stare streets? We've confirmed that you're not a serial killer. Good job. Yay.
Well, so I actually ended up going hiking on Christmas Day, right? Because I'm fighting off the sinus infection. People in my family are at risk, so it was like, you're not really welcome here. So it's like, okay, I'm not there, but I don't really feel bad anymore. I'm going to go hiking. I pull up to the thing and this girl's finishing hers and she immediately gets on the phone. And I already know, okay, you can't get reception in this area. So obviously I'm scaring this young woman. And I think it can't be the way I look. I look like such a nice, friendly guy. She must play daily fantasy. She must be a part of Run Pure. And she's been listening to JT Hayes. So I had to tell her, Merry Christmas, but JT Hayes is wrong, as I went ahead and hit the trail. So that's what's going on with me. I just wanted to thank you, JT Hayes. Now people are faking phone calls in areas with no reception just because of you.
Is that so? First of all, Holden may have decided that you're not involved in criminal.
Yeah, but
I have not. And I hope that's not the girl that they're looking for in the California mountains. Because, if you're trying, again, someone trying to persuade people that they're not doing what we know that you're doing. And then you say, well, I decided to go hiking on Christmas Day. Holden, have you ever gone for a hike on Christmas Day? I mean,
well, it's a great point. I have not gone on a hike on
it's
Christmas
a perfect
Day.
time.
For example, I actually saw a lot of people out there. I wasn't the only one with that idea.
Where do you bury? Where's the best place to bury a body so you never get in trouble, Spread?
Let me move on. So there was something else I noticed on the Up to Lock show. So JT, I don't know if you saw it, but Holden compared us, the group, the Wishbone Pod, to the Denver Nuggets.
Yes.
So Holden's decided that Uncle T is Bruce Brown, but I want to know who's the rest of us. I assume that you think you're
you
joking,
are Trey
Holden?
Lyles. He's not even with them anymore.
Trey Lyles,
though.
he's on the Kings.
You
Wonderful.
got to do better than that, Holden.
He's not even. I only watch them every night. All right, you're KCP. I'm obviously.
I get to be KCP. I knew he was going to give himself Jokic. I knew you were going to do that. If I had to
say it again, Uncle T would be Michael Porter Jr. Just unreliable, always hurt, things like that. JT's a good Jamal Murray. Now, if we did the Beatles, that would be better because I personally think Ringo is very underrated. I thought Ringo, and he's still alive.
Wait,
is that
what?
true or is he dead? Are all the Beatles dead?
Okay, so you're the guy that won't watch a movie before 1970, but you're listening to the Beatles.
The Beatles are great.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, why would I mean I don't listen to it very often, but when I do, I enjoy it.
Why did I mean I didn't watch the Up to Lock show today.
Thanks.
Why did we get compared to the Denver Nuggets? I mean, it's
because we brought up the old guys pod. I try and promote it as much as I can.
Yeah.
When I'm on shows that people actually watch. And then just
that's why you never bring it up on picking winners.
Yeah. All right,
Talking
who's alive and who's dead in the Beatles? I don't know. Is Ringo alive? Do you think Ringo's alive?
I'm pretty sure he is.
I mean, I think that, but I think Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney are both alive personally. Yeah, Ringo's not dead.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Ringo's 82 and Paul McCartney's out there. Paul McCartney's a real interesting dude because he married a chick with no arms. And I just find that fat. And then he divorced her. Right. It's like she gave us the worst hand jobs ever. And it was all over in the end, Spread. It was very sad. Very sad end to that relationship. JT talking.
I don't know. Wait, hold on. First of all, I don't know what I'm more surprised about. The fact that you actually listen to the Beatles because you won't watch a movie.
I had a leg. She might have been missing a leg.
Or that you actually think Ringo Starr was underrated. I mean, like
Ringo Starr's underrated.
No, you can learn everything he does within like 2 weeks of drum lessons.
So you gotta step up under the pressure. You know how much pressure this guy was under on
It's
tonight?
not that hard.
A lot. Oh, it's not hard to play drums with the Beatles. Are you kidding me?
I mean, no, I don't think it is. It's like the easiest drum beat.
Listen, drumming when he was drumming too was like the NBA. It was like George Mikan. Okay, it's not like they got crazy with the drums back in the 60s and 70s, dude.
Actually, they kind of did.
No, maybe the 70s they started, but they did not get crazy in the 60s or even the 50s when those dudes were alive.
Yes, they did. Go listen to other.
The biggest stars is like boom, boom.
Go listen to like some jazz drummers from that era. They're doing like
nobody listens to jazz drummers from that era.
You would hear it if you actually watched a movie with some class that had a jazz soundtrack.
Yeah.
For example,
JT, didn't you have something good to say?
Yeah, we'll stop.
I was just thinking about. I couldn't imagine how anyone couldn't be riveted by the conversation you guys are having. I'm sure even Uncle T isn't going to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's see if Stevie Boyden can hang through this.
Yeah.
He's going to have a comment. He texts me with his thoughts, and he's generally been a positive fan. But talking about the Beatles and Ringo Starr, we're off to a bad start.
Hold on. She was missing a leg.
People were really curious about what she was.
She wasn't missing an arm, buddy. She was missing a leg.
Thanks for doing that, Holden. Thanks
You're welcome, pal. Her name was Heather Mills.
Thanks for being
Still
diligent.
alive. She was banged out by Paul McCartney, and she's missing a leg. Only half of one, though. The rest is there. So maybe Paul McCartney's not as big a hero as I thought he was. Half leg. Can't pass that up.
Love is blind, Holden. Love is blind.
Love is blind. So do you want to talk some football here? There's a lot going on. Derrick Henry's doubtful. Guys are sitting week 17 instead of week 18. This is bizarro world, JT. Usually the guys sit in the last week. Now they're sitting in the next to the last week because of the clinching possibilities.
It's an odd year where there's not a lot left to be decided. I mean, there are things to be decided.
There's a lot.
But we kind of know who's in, with the exception. Like, we know there are teams that aren't going anywhere, right? So, the Raiders today decided they were going to bench Derek Carr.
JT, can I get your thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah.
I'm a Raiders fan. Does that signal the end of Derek Carr's time in Las Vegas?
If I was Derek Carr, I would hope so. I mean, why would you want to stay in this place? There's a stat I think they've never had in his tenure, a defense ranked better than 20th. And this year they're, I think, the dead last ranked defense, the carousel of coaches. We don't know what this guy can do with a good coach. And we really don't, right? We hear about other situations where they say coaching matters. I mean, I've got some thoughts on Denver too, but I mean, what it absolutely means is that the season's over. We knew the season was over for the Raiders. I don't know what it means for the franchise as a whole. Obviously, Stidham is not the guy, but they've got a lot of money invested in Adams, Jacobs. So
no, Jacobs will be a free agent at the end of the year. They actually declined his extension. So
they made
our only option for him would be
tag
to tag him. I don't think they'll do that either. He was real vocal after their last loss. And then the one other thing about Carr that you have to throw in there, he said that he would retire before he played for another team. I wonder if he'll follow through on that.
Yeah, things change.
I mean, that's something you say when things are looking like they're going well, and maybe rethink that. I don't know. Maybe he will retire, right? I mean, but I have to believe that what would you say, Holden? There's got to be like 10 franchises out there that would roll the dice.
Yeah, the Colts probably would do that, man. And then you get a huge contract.
The Colts, the Jets, right?
Possibly the Jets.
Tampa Bay next year, the Patriots, right? I mean, there's a lot of teams where, I mean, I'm not saying.
Maybe coaches don't think that highly of them, though. I wonder all it takes is one, but it's not. It's been really interesting because you got the diehard Cars in one spot, and the other one's like the guy has never really been on a good team. He's never lifted the play of other guys. He couldn't freaking find Devontae Adams last 2 weeks. What are you doing, man? He might be washed too.
Yeah, I don't think he's the same guy he was. He doesn't look as mobile in the pocket. I think he's taking too many hits, and
it could be. But I mean, come on. When you've got Devontae Adams, and that was Waller's first week back, right? I mean, if you're the defense, it's pretty simple. You're going to focus on trying to stack the box to prevent Jacobs. That hasn't worked out all that well for many of the games this season. You're going to try and lock down Adams. The rest of it you'll take. And I think the one thing that he did, and a lot of quarterbacks do this, is he was so stubborn about, I've got to get the ball to Adams. I've got to get the ball to Adams. I think that led to him a lot of mistakes too. I'm not advocating that he's a great quarterback, but he's better than some of the ones that are still getting jobs out there. I mean, you look at the guys that are starting in week 17 and it's pretty ugly. And in fact,
not on the playoff teams. It's interesting. Look at all the playoff teams: Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Jacksonville. All right, Baltimore's without Jackson, but they still got Jackson. Chargers, Dolphins. Tua will be gone. He's probably done for the year. Eagles, quarterback. Vikings.
Not all the playoff teams.
Not the Niners.
The Redskins. The Redskins are going back.
Oh, it's a Carson Wentz. Jeez.
Right? The Jets.
But for the most part, if you're a contender, you have to have a quarterback. We've already known this.
Right. Right.
The outlier could be the Niners, and I'm still Brock Purdy. As you get deeper into the playoffs, it doesn't do it for me. He's not Tom Brady. Not doing it.
I'd like to see Carr go to another team just as almost an experiment. How much of it was the organizational ineptitude? And how
Yeah, but
much
you
of it was-
said it. He might be Dunsky. Like, just
yeah.
he did not look good as the season went on.
But
You
I
know?
mean, like JT said, on the Jets, I mean, how much would he really need to get done?
Garoppolo or Carr?
Garoppolo at this point.
JT,
Uh,
your team needs a quarterback. You sign a Garoppolo or Carr?
that's such an
Great.
ugly choice.
Yeah, it is.
Such an ugly choice.
But Jimmy G, the Niners would be the legitimate best team in the NFC if Jimmy G was starting for them. Like, he's
I
an
agree
above
with that.
average quarterback.
How much have they lost with Brock Purdy?
You're right. Brock Purdy stepped up. You're
He's
right.
played well too. Like, that's one of my
Just
running
wait.
shtick on talking touchdowns.
Yeah.
As the big Jimmy G fan. And I was saying it's been a tough 3 weeks for the Jimmy G truthers because Purdy's come in, he's making throws on the move, he's hitting guys. It's not, and people want to say system this, system that. There's no system that gives you the skills to avoid a 300-pound rusher, step into a throw and hit a guy right on the money. So Purdy's played well.
That is a great offensive line though. I mean, he's not constantly under pressure like
Right. Great point. Yeah.
Carr is, these Indianapolis guys are. Did you see this, Holden? Did you see this story? I think it was in a tweet, but it was about Josh Allen when the Bills asked him, hey, will you help us recruit Von? And I thought this was great because you see these superstars who normally say, man, there's so many good quarterbacks in our division, all the public stuff that they say, right? And it's fun to learn what they really feel. So basically, they ask him to call Von Miller and recruit him to Buffalo. And he calls him, he talks to him. And really other cool thing he did was he had Matt Barkley with him. And he said, yeah, I'll do it, but you got to sign Matt and let him be my backup. Knowing that he's never going to miss a game, but keeping him in the league, right? Getting him a paycheck. And so he says then after he got done talking to Von Miller, he sends him a 3-line text. Zach Wilson, Tua, Mac Jones. You get to play these guys 6 times a year. Why wouldn't you want to come here?
Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty damning about what people in the AFC think about those quarterbacks.
Those guys too, the players, most of the time they're more knowledgeable about things that they say than we are when we talk about these players, but they say the same thing. Yeah. They all say the same thing. How many guys in the Broncos are probably going, Russell Wilson sucks. Like, this guy's bad. He is a bad quarterback. And how many guys with the Raiders?
I know you didn't want to talk about them, but I think that defense quit on the team, right? Tyler and I were talking about that when we were doing our power rankings.
This past game, they quit. I did a whole podcast on it.
Yeah.
All Denver CityCast they quit.
Yeah.
They quit.
What do you, is that a 1-game thing or are they
no,
out for the season?
They'll be fine because they got an interim, but they're playing the Chiefs, so they've lost 14 straight games to them. And listen,
we were talking about in the context of laying the 13 because I said usually we don't lay 13, but if this team's quit, I'll lay the 13.
I don't think they quit this week.
Okay,
they quit last week. I don't think they quit this week.
Got it.
But and then you don't think Josh Jacobs went home and motherfucked McDaniels a few times? Yeah. I mean, these guys think the same thing that we're thinking, and they know even more.
The thing with the Broncos, though, right? So they fire Hackett this week, obviously.
Good,
but in the same breath, they say, "Oh, we have confidence in the GM." Well, wait a second. So
I'll tell you why.
Because the GM was hired to get Rodgers.
The new owners. Now, listen, Rob Walton's the richest guy to ever own a sports team in this country, but his son-in-law is running the team, and this guy's got no clue what he's doing, like literally no clue. So his name is Greg Penner. If he fires George Payton, he doesn't know what to do. Like, all right, now you got to hire a general manager, but you have nobody to help you hire a general manager. It's a bad scene, man. It's a bad scene. And George Payton's been great at drafting, but Randy Gregory, Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett, this isn't working out.
Well, but that's why when people say, all right, they got rid of Hackett, we'll rebuild, we'll fix Russell. Wait a second. Yeah, look, they had some bad luck with injuries. Javonte going down early.
Tim Patrick
missed time. Sutton missed time. Okay, that didn't help. But it's hard to believe this is a team that for several years almost as long as I can remember in the recent past, has insisted on a 2 running back system, right? We don't know how much the front office is involved in, hey, this is what we want to do here, right? So for that to continue with Williams and Melvin Gordon,
Yeah.
They're bringing in Lat Murray later in the year off the street. I mean, yes, Hackett was bad, but my goodness, there's some other things at play there in terms of injuries, luck, and then just overall this roster. I mean, they traded away every good defender, most of the good defenders, the middle of the season. So,
They traded one guy away. They traded Chubb. That was it.
They traded Chubb.
And that was
But
big.
that was just basically the idea they didn't want to give him 20 million.
The
right?
problem is that Hackett's in over his head. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And they now all the reports are coming out after week 1. Remember that game against the Seahawks? We all said it was the worst game ever, but Russ lets the clock run for like a minute. Until it's under a minute to play.
Yeah.
Hackett kicks the 61 passes up, giving the ball to Wilson and goes for a 61-yard field goal. All hell breaks loose. Now it's coming out. The players didn't know what they were doing. It's like Russell was calling the plays and we didn't know what he was calling. It was a cluster.
Yeah.
We'll get back to the NFL in a minute. I do want to know this and spread. I think you've thought about this if you watched the start of the Up to Lock show. JSU versus Big T in a fight. Who wins?
This is like the most ridiculous.
Do you really
argument.
think Tony stomps him? Because JSU's got some heart, man.
There's weight classes for a reason.
Yeah.
It almost comes down to the Brock versus Khabib thing all over again. That's why I just thought it was so funny.
Right. So you think Tony would rip JSU limb from limb?
The only time that the size wouldn't matter is if one guy is trained and the other guy isn't.
Okay. What
if you have a 5'8", 160-pound guy that boxes every single day against a normal 270-pound guy?
JSU's in shape. JSU's
no. I'm talking about he actually has to train boxing. He's training slipping punches.
Okay.
I'm not talking about you can do 100 squats and you can.
Yeah. You don't think street fighting JSU would win?
No, not really. I mean,
okay.
I like JSU.
JT, where you
probably play JSU's cores more than Big T's, but I've trained boxing before. When you're going against guys your own size, right? And then you get in there with someone just 30 pounds heavier than you, it throws you off. You take one shot and you're just like, wait, no. This is, 100 pounds. I just don't see it.
Okay. JT?
Tough to see. Tough to see that being a competitive outing for JSU. Just the size difference alone. Now, what I'm also going to assume is that these are two guys that probably don't know a hell of a lot about hitting another human being.
Correct.
So it would probably be messy, and that ups the odds for JSU. And if it's no holds barred, he's right at waist length. Just a little higher than waist.
He can bite his dick.
To be a boxing.
I hope he wouldn't.
The original argument was supposed to be a boxing.
He can totally bite his dick, though.
Well, I would think that would be illegal. I would think that would be. I would think even if it was.
What if we gave JSU an ankle bite head start? He got to bite JSU. He get to bite Big T's ankle as hard as he could. Now Tony's on one leg, guys.
That'd be interesting. But we've seen, you know what? I don't know. I just think, would I watch it? Yes.
Yeah.
Would
I just wonder.
I wouldn't want it to happen. You don't want 270-pound people hitting 160-pound people.
On one leg.
No.
You remember the first UFCs where
yeah. They had no weight classes.
You could do anything, no weight classes.
Or Pride did that too. They had no weight class divisions. It's just.
Was it nasty?
It was tough. It was tough, but it'd be. I don't think that happens.
Can I go back and watch it? Like, is it fun watching a large gentleman dismantle a smaller gentleman?
There's one fight where you remember the spread? It's like this 350-pound sumo guy against this 135-pound wrestler or something, kickboxer, and he kicks him in the face, and you see his tooth go flying.
That's crazy.
And it was. Look, I didn't watch back then. I saw these after I started watching UFC. Anything can happen in a fight with two, as Spread points out, with two people who really don't know what they're doing. It's not like JSU was out there, boxing every day.
You're right.
So Who knows? Who knows what could happen?
Yeah.
Let's do actually people that like have the same size. Like, I mean, like the DC versus Randone matchup. Like, that's a lot.
They're
more
the same
interesting to
size?
discuss. Aren't they? How big is DC?
We're not sure.
I've never seen either one of them.
I'm not sure what's.
Well, Randone played line. He's big.
So no, what he said was he's lost. He's lost.
He's lost it all. But I'm saying he's 6'2".
Is he? I don't know. He wouldn't. He wouldn't commit. We were on
How tall are you,
flexing
JT?
on the show.
How tall are you, JT?
6'1".
6'1"? 6'1". Yeah. Spread? 6'1"?
6'1", yeah.
6'1". So why don't you guys fight? That'd be great.
We don't want to fight. We don't fight each other.
Yeah, I don't like fighting either. The only thing I'll do is shank a motherfucker. I'm not gonna use my fist, though.
Holden's ridiculous. You just
I
shank
gotta
people. Yeah.
Got
When's the last time you shake someone?
Got a prison. It's been a while.
Okay.
It'd be interesting because I know that Spread is experienced in the dark arts of how to sneak up on someone. And
You are used to killing,
but
that's fascinating. I wouldn't fight you.
But I've arrested a lot of people like Spread. So I mean,
yeah,
it'd be interesting.
Who's the toughest mofo at RPS? Are you it, JT? That's sad if you're
I'm sure I'm not it. I'm sure I'm not it.
Well, who's tougher? Seriously.
I've probably been in more life-threatening situations than anyone.
Yep.
I would say yes. I haven't been in that many, but yeah, I've been scared for my life a time or two.
Me too.
What's that?
Me too, including the time I was 8 when a man in a bunny rabbit suit chased me with a machete.
Wait, what? You're making that up.
No, it's true.
Is that from a movie?
No. If you want the story, I'll tell you. But if you'd like to move on and just continue the show, we could do that too.
Ask Steve. If he wants it, we'll throw it in next week.
No, well, we do want to save some material for the playoffs because they're going to be light schedules.
Good point.
I can understand that.
But we usually don't talk more. We've talked more football on this show than we usually do. See, this is why we need Uncle T.
Yeah.
And he already turned this off. He's furious. He's not happy. We were poking fun. But I'll tell you, this is why we need Uncle T. He can help us veer off course and talk about other things besides for sports. He's very good at that.
I got a couple of things before we get into the football, because the football is kind of a mess right now.
It's a mess.
There's so much news that needs to come out, and realistically, you're going to have to sit back and spend some time and kind of think, all right, which coaches do I believe? All this stuff. But what do you think, Holden? Because you've been a play-by-play caller, you've been in the sports radio industry, you probably have some good contacts over there in the Denver group that you work for. What do you make of this Carlos Correa situation?
That dude must be like missing an Achilles or something, man. I've never seen anything like this. I don't think anyone's ever seen anything like this.
Wait, what happened? He failed in the New York.
All right, so he
too?
failed. He failed his
I know he
physical with
failed
the
San
Giants.
Francisco. Yeah,
Now
because
he's-
everyone was up in arms.
And now the Mets are restructuring their offer because they're also concerned about what is ever mangled in his foot right now. And I've never seen anything like it. And it's some of it's on the media though. It's like, all right, you're reporting it, but how about okay, this guy, his ankle, something must be really wrong with him somewhere. If it's his ankle, if it's something else. Next time we report something, can we just say, all right, contingent on a physical, or he already passed the physical? I've never seen anything like this, JT. It's absolutely bizarre. And if the guy has this must be a major physical issue, like a major physical issue where like, okay, we can't trust you for a dozen years anymore. We'll give you 7, but you're going to be crippled by year 12. We can't do it.
I think if it was just, we'll give you 7, it would have been done already.
You think?
So the reporting is that because Cohen came out immediately once they agreed in principle and was talking about how excited they were, this was the piece we needed, that it's a lot harder to walk back. I don't know how much I buy that, but the other point that someone made, and this is a humorous point, it was like, gee, if the Mets medical staff has an issue with you, then there must really be something wrong, because this is one of the worst, has been one of the worst medical staffs in the league. But I mean, for one team, and the Giants needed something because they've had a terrible offseason. And they're like, all right, and they're not going to spend that money. And then for the Mets now, after all that, to come back and say, and this has been, it's Wednesday, we're on 5 days with nothing. Nobody's saying a word. I mean, it's bizarre.
It is.
Bizarre.
And plus Scott Boras is involved. He's going to, draw this out. Yeah, he wants to get the deal done, but he also loves being in front of the camera. There's nobody in baseball that likes the camera more than Scott Boras. So, he's also a big piece in this, I'm sure. He's a pain in the ass to the owners. God, if there's an agent that you want, it's definitely Scott Boras.
Yeah.
All right, and what was the other thing? Anything else?
Just the last point on that is this is going to be an interesting scenario to see how it plays out, because this would be a question for me is Steve Cohen willing to take the egg on his face and admit that he jumped in without maybe thinking so much and admit that he was wrong and back out? Because if he doesn't and they let this go through, in my mind, this is already a very short-term construction in terms of roster. You got a lot of money locked up to guys who are at ages where they just decline. It's just nature. And now you add this on top of it. It'll be very interesting to see, in my opinion.
It's the old guys are going to break down. Scherzer's breaking down. We're seeing that.
Yep.
Verlander's old. Maybe he could stay healthy, but just everybody in their rotation is old. Good luck. Young guys don't stay healthy very often.
Marte is old. Marte is old.
Yeah, all of them. You got one or two young guys, and then that's the rest of it. All right, spread checked out because we were talking baseball.
No. I'm just flipping my channels because the game went to halftime. So
all right, let's Kansas is coming back, by the way. My boys are on their way back.
Oh, see, I just need to flip off that one for you, Holden.
Thanks, man. So again, JT's right. We're to the point in the season where does this team have anything to play for? If they do, what is this path? If they don't, then what's this path? So there are teams that are out of it that are still playing hard. Okay. The Bears are one of those teams.
Yep.
The Cardinals are at least trying. The Falcons are trying. I feel like the teams that are already eliminated, what teams are not trying at this point? Unless the Colts just completely lay down on Jeff Saturday. So to me, it's only the teams with skin in the game, like Tennessee. Tennessee's smart. They don't care. They can go 8-9 as long as they win next week. They're in the playoffs, right? So I think the Raiders will be an interesting team to look at this week. There's so many narratives, right, JT? So many narratives there. Titans with the injuries, White's back for the Jets. Everything else, I think, is just, those other teams are playing, and the Dolphins are going to have to start Teddy Bridgewater. NFC, everybody's playing. I mean, except don't we have like a bye week for the Panthers and the Bucks because they're playing each other and the other games don't matter?
No, the Panthers are at the Texans.
No, the Panthers are playing the Buccaneers.
Excuse me, Jaguars.
Panthers are. You were making a joke, right, Holden?
What?
That the Panthers and Bucks have a bye week because they're playing each other?
They're playing each other next week. Oh, I didn't put it right. They're playing each other final week of the season for the division, right? So they got nothing. They got
they play this week, don't they?
They play this week.
All right, then boom. Next.
That's it. Well, I think it's
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's this week. You're thinking of the of the Titans game where they're all basically just focused on next week.
Yeah.
The Titans Jaguars.
No, the Saints game is next week. God damn it. All right, good job, guys. Don't mind me giving you inaccurate information. Don't worry about it. We're all good here.
There you go.
But so we're still going through the teams that it matters to. All the teams in the NFC.
Well, let's go through this quickly. I mean, we'll just go through the schedule here. And
Holden, let me make one point. People overplay that teams have nothing to play for. These guys try and beat each other at ping pong.
When everything would change for me was there was this guy in DC covering the Redskins. His name was Jim Zorn. He was the head coach.
Yeah,
first year he went 8-8
for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, he was like 6-0, and then he ended up 8-8. And the second year, he literally just stuck a middle finger up to Dan Snyder at the end of a game by going for the swinging gate, which is basically a fake punt. He ran the same play back to back just to tell Dan Snyder to go fuck himself. Now, that team they were 3-12 heading into the game against the Raiders. There was nothing for those guys to play for. They totally, they're giving up. They went out there, they won that game. These guys, a lot of these guys,
especially on the betting side too. Yeah. People are going to say, well, the Seahawks need to win this game, and their opponent does, and I don't know who they're playing, but you understand my point.
You don't
right?
know which.
And I'm like, well,
playing.
the Seahawks are 7-8. That's why they need to win the game, right?
So it's futile.
They're not that much better than the 5-12 team that got eliminated.
Yeah,
so
right.
I don't play almost anything into those narratives at all, unless it's a situation like, where the coach hates the owner or something like that, or it's an all-out mutiny. Okay. And that's why I think you're smart to try and identify those. We saw it happen on the field in that Broncos game on Christmas Day. But the reason we saw it and the reason it stood out is because it so rarely happens. And I think that's why some people don't like the NBA. You see it happen in the NBA a lot more. And I don't think it's because they don't like it. I think it's because they have too much fun in Miami or New York or Houston or wherever they're at. But it's really rare to see a game. That's why that Broncos game really stood out to me, Holden. I mean, you see maybe, I think 2-3 of those a year tops where a team is not trying.
Yeah. You got 20, by the way, 22-point-something million Americans watching that. I mean, maybe there's migrants watching it too. I'm not sure, but that's what the official, right, JT? Immigrants, not just Americans, whoever's in the country.
A global audience. You mean a global audience?
Yeah, there you go. A global audience.
Migrants.
22.7 watching, more than all 5 games for the NBA. All 5 games combined for that shitty NFL game. All right.
That shows you the power of fantasy football and DFS, and the fact that
and betting
people
now.
like to be able to make their lineups at 8 a.m. and not sit at the computer until lock. Now I know JT plays NBA too, right? I don't mind, navigating this, but it makes sense that a lot of people want to make a lineup at 8 a.m. and then go do their family stuff and just kind of check the scores a little later.
Plus, there was nothing else on. I mean, it's Christmas Day.
Well, there's NBA on. I mean,
there's NBA on.
Celtics,
that's the whole
Bucks.
thing.
That was a good.
But you know what, spread? The NBA ratings went up a little bit too, though. They're up like 5%, which is interesting. So people just love watching live sports, I think, is what it is. But especially the NFL. Anyways, I forgot to bring something up. We were going to get into the quarterback real quick, but forgot to bring something up. Worst airline out there right now, because Southwest is just having massive problems around the country. And here in Denver, I mean, you're hearing horror stories like 15,000 bags and nobody can get them that are here. They've been stranded for days. Yeah. I've never seen anything like. I'm flying Southwest next Tuesday with my kids. I'm a little concerned, to be honest with you. I think we'll be all right though, but American Airlines still the worst for me. Any thoughts on airlines that have screwed you over, JT? Because they all suck.
I only fly Delta for the most part here in Atlanta. It's kind of they go everywhere. Everywhere is
That's Delta. I haven't been on Delta in ages.
It's fantastic.
Is it?
I think it's one of the best airlines out there. They had there were some stats released over the course of last week. They had one of the lowest cancellation / delay rates. And so American to me has always been meh. I flew when I lived in New York and New Jersey. I flew United a lot. They were always okay. Southwest, I just don't love the setup of the airline, because it started as this discount airline where it was cheap and then you get on, you pick your seat, and that was kind of fun for a while. But now it's just as expensive as any other airline. I mean, you look at the routes, like if you price out a route, all of the airlines are basically around the same price. So there really is an advantage to flying one airline consistently and getting some type of status on it.
Yeah.
So on Delta, I don't pay for check bags. I get a lot of upgrades, even to the extra space class, the Delta Comfort Plus or whatever, every now and then to business class. Whereas if I took a Southwest, United, American, I'm getting nothing. I'm paying the maximum price. I'm paying to check a bag. So to me, that's what's important with the airlines.
You're not paying for a check bag with Southwest, though. It's the whole thing. Listen, I fly. You know why I fly Southwest? Because they let me on right after the A group, because I got kids. So they just that's the only airline that'll let me on with the kids for everybody else. So
Delta does that all the time. You get to board first if you.
They said it had to have an infant on Delta. I was like, fuck you, Delta.
That's not true. I mean, I fly.
Maybe it was United. Maybe it was United.
I fly all the time, and every time and I get to board in like the second group no matter what because of how much I fly. And every time they say, if you need a little extra help down the jetway, and trust me, I see people with teenagers that say, hey, this kid's a mess, and they need extra time to down the jetway. So Delta's
depending
great.
on the rush, would you have your child act a little differently to try and get on the plane beforehand?
I think that's setting a bad precedent if you're a parent.
Spread thoughts. If you had a teenager, would you have your teenager act in a way that could get you on the plane first?
No. What am I in a hurry to get on there so quickly to do?
I mean, a lot of people are on a hurry to get on. A lot of people are in a hurry to get off.
Yeah.
Flying's not fun, man. Flying was fun when I was little. I used to fly US Airways. That was my favorite. And then they got bought out. Take the shuttle. Best airline there was. Spread, what do you fly?
I haven't flown in years.
Really? Are you afraid or you just don't want to?
I don't like it. Like you said, it's not fun at all.
Yeah, even with TSA pre-clear, the airport, just going through TSA is the worst. All right, this conversation.
Spread is worried a little bit because there's also a lot of law enforcement there. They have technology.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever tried to put a body in a carry-on Holden? Like, come on.
If I say yes, I'll get in trouble.
Anything could trip Spread up.
All right, boys. Ho, 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 25% off. You're not a subscriber. I don't know if you're not a subscriber. Are there any non-subscribers that listen to this show?
There has to be.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, Spread's girl. Spread's lady, right?
Spread's lady. There's also a couple people who like to troll no matter what, like the YouTube people. They just consume every piece of content that we put out.
What do they say? Yeah, that's the one thing. Maybe I'll go read the comments tonight. I haven't read any comments.
Yeah.
Are they mean sometimes?
No, I only read them once when you were talking about the guy who does the timestamp, which
I like him.
And there was the guy that was mad at JT's baseball take. You read that one on there.
Yeah, this is the absolutely wrong take to believe.
Yeah. Subjective award.
Yeah. Quarterback, folks. Listen again. Good luck figuring it out as we do this on Wednesday, but it's a good week. Kind of build an outline for you, an early week outline. So talk to me here, JT. Mike White at Seattle. We paying down this week, or maybe, hey, look, we can go back to Jared Goff, maybe a Jared Goff week. What do you got?
Yeah, I just got a little excited because half the Pistons apparently just got ejected, and none of them were my players. So
were they fighting?
Something happened. Looks like there was a fight between.
I'll flip over to that one right now.
I like that.
I am still listening to you.
The Pistons and fighting never ends up well.
So you mentioned that the Bears are playing hard. This game in Detroit.
Yeah.
The Bears at the Lions, right? You got Jared Goff at 5,600. The Lions, I think, are the Lions still alive, Spread? You might know this better than I do. I thought they were until maybe last week. But
I'll pull it back up. I think that they still are because that NFC
technically, right? Yeah, because you've got the Redskins, the Giants, all these teams vying for like one spot or something. So Goff and Fields, we saw the Panthers just in something that hasn't worked in several weeks, absolutely run all over the Detroit Lions. So those two guys are interesting. You mentioned Mike White at Seattle. I think he's fine. 5,400. I think at some point with Mike White, the magic is going to wear off and defenses are going to figure it out. But, you know, his last three games, 315, 369, 268 passing yards, including a tough one in Buffalo. And then you go down a little bit and I don't know. I think you can play Colt McCoy at 5,200 against the Falcons in Atlanta. Could be a week where he can connect with DeAndre Hopkins. It's tough for me though. Like Mahomes against Denver, he's 8,500. I just don't see a replay of their first game, you know, where they're both going back and forth. I think they'll be a little better. We don't know what Jacksonville is doing. Now, Doug Peterson says, he came out, this was a great quote. He said, I would never sit anybody just unless there was an injury. And of course, people went back and found out that with the Eagles, he did just that in week 17 of some season.
Yeah.
So you're not sure what to believe there. 6,200 price elevated, probably pass on that. Kirk Cousins outdoors in Green Bay. No, thank you. I don't think.
That's a primetime game also.
Is it? Is it? Is it? You might be right.
No, it's like
No,
220,
it's
maybe.
not.
It's
220 game.
425.
Yeah.
425.
I'm just full of accuracies tonight.
It's on the slate, Holden. I don't talk.
Yeah, why would we be talking about that game? It was not on the slate.
You can see the thought bubbles go on Holden's head as the light.
I
bulb.
popped 2 edibles at the end of the.
Yeah, I could. We could tell because we're how long are we in here? Does it say we're recording? But it's
what
getting
else,
to that
JT?
Holden time.
But yeah, for me,
we're missing our guy.
Listen, I think that's about it. Maybe you could play Gardner Minshew if he starts against New Orleans. New Orleans' defense has been terrible. That's a home game in Philly.
Okay, spread you on Derek Carr.
No, Stidham is 4,100. I mean, it's just too bad. Like it's just not enough savings. It's not. Like,
it's against the Niners, though, dude.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's too bad. You just can't play him. It's not enough savings.
Yeah.
To me, I love Goff this week. I know you said the Bears are still playing hard, and I don't want to argue with that. But the thing is, they're just not very good.
I like them too.
Offensively, they are, which is why I said you could play.
I think the defense is playing hard too, right? I mean, I just feel like
play Jamal
the Bills.
Defense has nobody. The defense has been torched.
But they're trying. Like it felt like they were fighting against the Bills. They just,
spread. If they put me and Holden out in the defensive backfield for the Bears, we would try for a little while.
Yeah,
it wouldn't work too good.
Play Jamal Williams. Spread.
I think we're all agreeing though that we like Goff here.
That's the better play.
Wait, what?
Jamal.
Okay.
Play Jamal Williams.
Why? You don't like
because he's gonna score 2 TDs again this week.
I swore you're always touting the other Lions running back.
Oh, you're the worst. You guys, somebody said I touted DeAndre Swift.
The animals got you chill. Your reaction during the up.
Oh, that tilted me because I can't. Yeah. If there's one guy I can't stand is DeAndre Swift.
Why can't you stand him?
Because he sucks. He can't stay on the field.
He's good when he plays.
Oh, was he good last week? How'd he do?
Okay.
I think
player has one bad week. He's not good. Tom Brady not the best quarterback ever anymore because he had a bad season.
Who?
Tom Brady, is he out of your greatest?
That's interesting. I don't think this is going to hurt his legacy. I think people.
No, of course it's not. Nobody remembers any of that stuff.
No, people don't even remember Shaq with the Sonics or Patrick Ewing with the Celtics.
Yeah.
Celtics.
Shaq Celtics.
Was he with the Spurs too?
No.
Who was Shaq with?
The last team was the Celtics, if I remember right.
Lakers, Magic, Celtics. Wasn't there one other team though that he ended up with?
Magic, Lakers, Celtics. No, it was Magic, Lakers. Heat. He actually got a title there.
Yeah.
Busted a rap on Kobe Bryant.
Cavaliers. That's who it was. He played in Cleveland.
Was that before or after?
After Phoenix.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's a Phoenix in there too.
See, there you go. That didn't hurt his stuff. So, anyways, listen. Just with Swift, when he's on the field, fine. Yeah, I don't see them needing the pass catching back as much this week. I think Williams can run it right down their throat. Then let me see here. Here's the game log: 12, 10, 21, 6, 12, 3.
Yeah, I just tricked him into it. I don't know how he snuck Jamal Williams in there when we were talking about Jared Goff.
Yeah.
But
they're on the same team.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So I guess that means that since they're on the same team, we're talking about running backs, JT. Who do you like?
What?
I'm seeing if I can mute you. I can. I mean, I need to...
Here, watch. What'd you say, JT? What'd you say?
I think you can just undo it on your thing.
Yeah, you can just undo it on his side. Yeah, now we can't hear him, but now we'll hear him again. Oh, I have to ask him to unmute. You're unmuted now. Yeah,
I'm unmuted now. Yeah.
Frickin'
Brett, who are the other quarterbacks you like quickly?
We're done. I really like Goff a lot. So when that's why I asked Holden about that Denver, and I think that's an interesting question. I think you scratch Mahomes off the list there. I mean, Fields, 7,900. I feel like Goff's got close to the same upside there. Herbert against the Rams. I think you got to be interested. I think the Rams have a huge letdown after that win last week. I mean, their season's already over. And I know I said don't downplay that too much, but they are coming off a big win, probably a pretty loose, easy week there, and getting ready for a New Year's Eve in Los Angeles. So
Chargers clinched though, right? Chargers clinched
A playoff
a
spot.
playoff spot,
Yeah.
but they can still move up right in the standings because right now they're number 6. They'd be playing Cincinnati. They moved up to 5. They would be playing Jacksonville in the first round, right? So definitely some. I don't think that they just figure, oh, we clinched the playoffs and they stop.
So that's quarterback. Let's go running back.
Okay.
Eckler's limited, but he should be good to go against the Rams, who have just Donald's not playing. Their whole defensive line's garbage. McCaffrey at the Raiders, interesting. Last week, if you were on Barkley, things worked out well for you. Jacobs, we got the narrative. He's upset. Who's your top
JT,
shelf
what do you
guy?
think of that? Mangone and I completely disagreed this morning when we were doing picking winners on
What?
Jacobs. He comes out, basically trashes the coaching staff, trashes the play calling. He's probably out of there at the end of the year. I said it doesn't matter. It doesn't really affect it at all. Mangone said even though the Jacobs will probably still play hard, McDaniels might run him less. I said he might run him more. What do you think? Having a post-game tirade and probably being out at the end of the season does the Jacobs viability, JT?
I don't think it fucking matters. They're playing the 49ers. Like, why are we focused on a running back with a backup? I get maybe with a backup quarterback, you say they would run more, but
Yeah.
this is not a good spot for Vegas.
Okay.
I mean,
And it's going to be mostly a Niners crowd, too. It'll be a home game for the
49ers
Niners.
defense is,
Yeah.
I haven't played a running back against them, I don't think, all season.
All right, boys. Did you want to chime in with your big guy there?
Well,
JT.
no, I'm listening to spread.
Spread?
No. I just wanted to ask. You were kind of going through them all. And
You think Jacobs? So let me ask, because you come up with some of these plays that I would never go to for that reason that I just stated. You think Jacobs is a good play this week?
It really has to be contrarian if you're building multiple lineups. But I think the idea is that number one, no one's going to play him. And number two, it's almost like NBA. Like if I told you, hey, this guy's going to shoot 10 3-pointers, I don't know. There's a chance he gets a lot of carries with the backup in there. But like Mangone said, it could be the issue where he just doesn't even get the carries and they give him to one of the other guys that they're going to build around.
That to me, that is a secondary issue to the Niners have been so good.
Yeah.
And they're a ball control offense. So Vegas is going to have less time of possession than they normally do. It's a tough play for me.
All right.
JT, since you don't want to talk about running backs, I'll bring up the dusty Michael Carter. The Jets can't run. Mike White likes to dump it down, and that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so
take my 8 points and move on.
Yeah, just going up top. I mean, Saquon, I think, is a good play again this week. Price moved up $100 on DraftKings. Ramondre, a total bust last week. You know, he's questionable. That's not a terrible spot for opposing running backs. You do have these Washington running backs with Robinson. I don't even see Gibson. Yeah, Gibson is what? Gibson is questionable. So Robinson and Gibson, interesting there in that matchup against Cleveland. Fournette was good last week. A lot of catches, a lot of dump offs from Brady. So he's certainly in play at that price. 5,600, I think, is the lowest we've seen him on a main slate. Kenneth Walker against the Jets, somewhat interesting. 6,200. It's not a terrible play there. You want to pick and choose one of the Chiefs running backs? Go ahead. Good luck. You're probably going to get it wrong because we all have. So yeah, and it's tough. I mean, I guess we'll see what's going on with Dillon and Jones, but you know, it's a tough week. It's a tough week. So Michael Carter, 5,100. Yeah, I don't know.
I would not build my lineups around him.
No.
Do you think you'd rather spend up at running back or wide receiver this week, JT?
Just looking real quick at the differences.
Isn't that a McCaffrey versus Jefferson question? Or a McCaffrey versus Hill question?
I'm not playing McCaffrey. All
right, so it's Justin Jefferson.
Well, it could be like Barkley versus, one of those guys. Seems to me like of all the top guys, you like Barkley the best, right, JT?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, you have to. That matchup is. I mean, appears so good. So yeah, I like him.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, who really hasn't broken out for 3 weeks now. He's been in the teens, mid-teens. This could be a nice spot for him, no question. But we're still doing running back. So any final thoughts on running back? Because unfortunately, we don't get Derrick Henry off the main slate this week. It would just be fun to play Chestnut.
Yeah. I will say one other guy, Tyler Algier.
Yeah, I like it.
22 touches last week. So, and then, 18 the week before. Not a terrible matchup against Arizona if they're going to give him 20 touches at home indoors.
Let me ask you guys a question. I think this needs to be asked. What do you want to do with McKinnon this week? Was it a great? I think he scored. Don't think he got into double digits last week. He was 5'9". Now he's up to 6K. But Mahomes loves checking it down to this dude. 12.8 last week. Didn't run the ball with this. He scored a touchdown 4 straight, guys.
If you think Denver's gonna be fired up, I'm fine staying away with them if we're gonna stay away from the Niners defense.
I don't like them. JT?
Yeah, I don't know. I it's too early in the week for me to get a headache trying to figure out what Andy Reid is going to do. It's probably fade them both and hope it doesn't kill me. I don't know.
Hit the like button and then leave us a nice comment, and that's wonderful.
JT,
also,
you brought up Algier, and I wanted your thoughts on the Falcons game. When Tyler and I built the playbook this week, we showed an edge to the Falcons, but we didn't want to bet it. Do you have any insight there on your local Falcons that could push us over the edge? Because even though the projections said, hey, they could win this game by 4 or 5 points, they're only laying 3. It was still a tough bet to hit submit on. We haven't done it yet. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a risky bet. I think McCoy back is better for the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
If Montgomery's out, then not Montgomery. James Conner is out, then that's better for the Falcons.
What do you think of Desmond Ridder? Both Tyler and I aren't very high on him. I think that was the reason we couldn't do it.
I mean, it's not so much Desmond Ridder. It's the offense is they're trying to have a ball control offense. They only let him throw it when they absolutely have to. He's essentially got one guy in Drake London who's the target here. It's just such a thin offense. So you could target, we'll get to a wide receiver. You could probably target London. I wouldn't play Ridder. You could target Algier. It's just hard to have confidence in the Falcons. It's hard to have confidence in that few weapons. And the game plans that Arthur Smith comes up with are very uninspiring. That I'm hoping that's largely due to the fact that he has a dearth of weapons here, but I don't know. If you get a good number,
Algier and London have been the 2 biggest beneficiaries, haven't they? They just kind of went all young.
They're looking to see what they have here, right? This is what these last few weeks are about. So that's the other thing, Spread, is I'm not saying they're not trying to win, but they're trying different things out, right? Okay. Now, the Cardinals, I got to look and see what the Cardinals have done on the road, because you know, I don't feel confident that the Cardinals
They're
are gonna,
actually not that much better at home than they are on the road.
yeah.
So
They're just not
they're not
great.
a team that, you know, there's certain teams fade on the road, play at home.
Yeah.
They're not that team.
Yeah.
They're pretty equal both. Their splits are actually pretty even.
Yeah. And that's another one, right? I mean, even the beginning of the season, you could play these Falcons games and stack them up because the totals were in the 50s. You knew it was going to be kind of a shootout. 42 total indoors this week. Maybe if I find a couple of pieces I like, but that's it. I don't feel comfortable right now on a lean as to whether or not, the Falcons can cover that number and win.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
why we ended up leaving it off.
Falcons have a tendency to lose at home too, in heartbreaking.
Yeah.
A wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, is going to give you 35 points at 9.5 on DraftKings. He's 9.2 on FanDuel. Tyreek doesn't have Tua thrown on the ball. Get your thoughts on that. Adams, Devontae now, and seemingly, who the hell knows if Stidham's going to get him the ball. AJ Brown, Amon Ra, got some big, and Devontae Smith. My God, as Devontae Smith just had himself a nice little run here over the last month, and Gardner Minshew likes him too. JT, could you start with Tyreek and what you want to do with Mr. Explosive Player here, the Cheetah? I'm not playing him.
What's that?
I'm not playing him, by the way. I don't think I'll have much.
I don't know. At New England, it doesn't seem like.
Rather pay up for Jefferson, no matter how chalky that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jefferson just doesn't seem to bust, right? I mean, but he's up
Again.
there. Yeah, he's up there at 9,500 now. We'll see. We'll see. I think Wilson's in a good spot. Garrett Wilson. Price came down there. He's got Mike White back, so he's going to get peppered with targets. Drake London, 4,900. Some of these other spots, we just gotta, I like the price for Christian Kirk. I just don't know what they're gonna do yet. So we'll have to see what they're gonna do. It's gonna be hard for me to play any Raiders. So DeAndre Hopkins, 7,700. 32 targets in the last 3 games. It hasn't worked out, but he hasn't had, McCoy thrown to him in all but one of them, and tougher matchups. New England at Denver, all right, Tampa Bay, maybe not as tough, but he had a third string guy. So maybe DeAndre Hopkins at 7.7. And then you look at the Giants guys. Yeah, Slayton, interesting price point there. You could look at the Eagles guys. Brown, and you mentioned Smith. Brown's price down to 7,900. So it looks like he's questionable, as a lot of guys are this week. So, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's like I said, a lot more to come later on in the week as we get some more news.
Spread, what do you think of Devontae without Derek Carr? Because it can't be any worse than it's been the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get there at 8,500. When you talked about Jefferson being, just the automatic. And I know it's an extra 1,000, but that's my same thing. If you said Hill or Jefferson, fine at $600, plan on a different position, but it just feels so much safer. My 2 favorites here are right in the 7K range. I like Keenan Allen going against the Rams. I think we get a letdown there. They had that nice victory on Christmas Day, national TV audience, right? You guys all saw it. They got to rip the Broncos' hearts out. Now they got back home to LA. It's the day after New Year's Eve. Who do you think is going to probably take this game a little more serious, right? And might tone down their Saturday night a little more, right? I really like Keenan Allen there on that Chargers.
That Chargers defense looked pretty good, and now they get Baker Mayfield off like the game of his life. So
yeah,
I like your call there.
Yeah, I think Keenan Allen puts up a big game there, and Devontae Smith is the one I like. I think that the Eagles coming off a loss, that's a nice spot for us to target too. Maybe a chance for them to make a statement, especially with their backup quarterback in there. Maybe they keep throwing a little more, even with the lead. Those are the 2 that I really like. I'm staying away from the Miami guys up in the cold. Jefferson, if you can find the money to get there. I actually don't mind Hopkins as well. I think JT made a good point. He's more involved in the offense, but these throws should be a little better here. And
Colt's coming back.
Yeah, he was another reason that Tyler and I stayed off this. It's just like that's going to be the best tandem on the field, and in a close game, that could be the difference, right? You're nursing a lead, but much trust Colt and DeAndre Hopkins to engineer a game-winning field goal or game-winning touchdown than I do there on the other side with Ritter and Drake London.
All right, guys. One more position to go, unless you had some final thoughts at wide receiver. We got tight end. If you want to pay up for Kelsey, who should be able to just completely truck the Broncos, he's 8-1. Let's see what Kittle could do this week. Hawkinson, Goddard, Higbee's right there against the Chargers. I mean, he's coming off a great game. That was against the Broncos team that quit. My favorite is Cole Kmet. I don't know how popular he's going to be this week, but anytime I can get a really good offensive piece against Detroit, I'm feeling pretty good about it. JT, who's your guys at tight end?
Yeah, I would like Evan Engram if I felt comfortable that these guys are gonna all play. Dallas Goedert is 4,700 against the Saints. I don't mind him. Njoku is 4,100 against the Commanders. I think that's okay. Noah Fant, 3,400. Yeah, that's maybe Noah Gray is 2,500, the backup for Kelsey, because he's getting a lot of snaps. And if that game goes the way that I expect that it'll go, then we might see more targets to Noah Gray there at the end of the game.
Spread, you got a thought or two on tight end?
Yeah, I'll say this to JT. I know you don't want to play any Raiders, right? And that's probably the smart deal. But let's just say, like, I made a rule. You had to play one. Darren Waller, to me, seems like he's the best one if we're doing tournaments. And here's my idea. You got Stidham back in there. They're going to be playing that old New England offense. Tight ends are heavily focused in that. If it's more of that traditional New England offense, I thought Waller would have a big year. Maybe that's what it takes. He broke down the other ones. I mean, if we know that Evan Engram is going to be fully used, right? He's extra 100, much better. And Holden, I like your play too with Cole Kmet there. So I'm just saying, if you want to get different, maybe Waller is the one that we should target from the Raiders if we're playing any of these. But like you said, probably no Raiders at all.
Yeah, that's your case. My guys just Kmet. I mean, he's the number one option. They don't have any. Justin Fields doesn't have much of any options at this point. Velus Jones. Who else did he run out there with him last week, guys? So that's for Velus Jones. Byron Pringle.
Dante Pettis.
So they get to face the Lions this week, and he's their number one guy. So give me Kmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a good spot, too. It's been a good spot for.
What about Kittle? Go talk about fading the Raiders. 5,900. Is
Kittle.
That too much?
I always play Kittle.
I don't know. 5,900. He's coming off two massive games in a row, right? And that's I guess the metrics say when Debo is not in, Kittle gets a bunch of targets and does a lot with them. He certainly could in this matchup.
I also think with inexperienced quarterbacks, the tight end becomes a more popular option. It's usually quick on the progression route, and it's a big body, easy to throw to. Jump balls, they usually do have a size advantage. So
definitely
that's why normally we don't, you've really been good at me getting off the guys, right? When I try and play them after the big week. But I would say at least there's a reason for that, right? A new quarterback in there maybe sees the tight end as a safety blanket, as a lot of these young guys do.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Wonderful work. Shout out to JJ Watt. Great career. Shout out to Junebug, my homie. And shout out to Spread Astaire and JT Hayes for hopping on, having the will and the time to come on this show tonight, not letting anything else. All right, boys. Simon, get us out of here.